Hello everyone, good morning and welcome back to Sports Today. We bring you this video segment every morning to help you catch up with things that have been taking place in the world of sport whilst you were catching up on some all-important sleep. Because let's face it, whilst you need sleep, I need sleep, everyone needs sleep. The world of sport doesn't really sleep. There's always something or the other going on and it can be a little tiring keeping track of everything taking place in the world of sport. So that's why we're here. We help you, we track these things, bring it together, put it in this video so you're all caught up in the morning time. And without further ado, let's get to it straight away with some very interesting news, a lot of which is IPL related, but we'll keep that for later. Let's start off with a moment that a lot of people remember from the India-England Test series, which is when Sarfaraz Khan finally got to make his debut, and just how emotional his father Naushad, who was of course also a first-class cricketer, never could quite make it to the international level, got when Sarfaraz received his test cap. And there was another thing that had gone viral, which is when Rohit Sharma was seen talking to Naushad, and now Rohit Sharma has actually opened up on, let's say, the conversation that he had with Naushad. In fact, he said that, I used to play, I've played against Sarfaraz's dad, Naushad Khan, in the Kanga League, which is, of course, a domestic tournament that takes place in Mumbai. So I played against him back then. He was a hard-hitting left-handed batter, never could quite make it for India. So when Sarfaraz did finally get that test cap, Rohit says, I went up to Naushad and said, ye cap jitni uski hai, aapki usse zyada hai, which is basically however much that cap belongs to Sarfaraz, it belongs even more so to you. Of course, referring the fact that Naushad has put in a lot of effort to ensure that Sarfaraz could one day finally relive or live the dream of being an India player. Very heartwarming moment and a very nice conversation, really shows the human side that Rohit Sharma, the captain, has. And in fact, in this interaction, which was posted on one of his official pages for his team, Row 45, I don't quite remember what it was, a lot of interesting things he spoke about. We'll be doing a separate video on this shortly, but this really caught the eye, and of course, hard not to share it here, looking at just how the journey, of course, that Sarfaraz Naushad have been through, but also how empathetic and understanding Rohit was about it all. Switching tack now, and of course, it's IPL season. It's going to be starting come Friday, and there's a lot of interesting developments taking place regarding the IPL. And one big prediction that has come about is, of course, from AB de Villiers regarding the form of his best friend Virat Kohli. Now, of course, Kohli, you have to remember, last played any form of cricket in January, which is of course the 3-match T20I series against Afghanistan, missed the entirety of the test series against England due to personal reasons, which we later found out was because, of course, his wife was expecting their second child, who was born in the middle of the series. Now, though, Kohli is going to be back, and de Villiers, like everyone else, very excited to watch Kohli back in action. And not just that, de Villiers had a pretty big prediction in a video that he put out on his YouTube channel. He says, I have no doubt that we're going to see the best of Virat Kohli once again, and I'm excited because he's been delivering consistently for so many years, and I think he's going to have yet another good season. Of course, if Kohli has a good season, then there's potentially a chance that RCB could finally get a hold of that cup. Although, as we've discussed on this platform itself, RCB's bowling probably not quite their strongest suit, but when has it ever been? What fans will definitely be interested to see is whether or not his prediction on Kohli having a good year comes true, because again, there is a T20 World Cup to look forward to after this as well. Focusing, of course, on the IPL even more so, and Suresh Raina has opened up about why the 2024 IPL season could be a very pivotal one, not for MS Dhoni, but for the Chennai Super Kings franchise as a whole, because he said that this year you may very well see who it is that Dhoni turns to as his deputy and who it is he turns to when it comes to making the big decisions, because again, Dhoni definitely getting up there in age, not going to be playing forever. And Raina said that, well, I'd love to see him play for at least 2-3 more years. Chances of that happening probably a little bit slim, and so he said, he's basically hinted and said that this could be the year where you see who he turns to as a deputy, so that you can get an idea of who the next leader of CSK would be. Now, of course, it's worth noting that CSK have tried moving on from Dhoni, the captain. They did in 2022, gave the reins to Jadeja, did not work out. Halfway through the season, they went back to Dhoni, and of course, it was a decision that paid off in 2023, given they won the IPL. But again, Dhoni has to retire someday, and succession planning, sooner it happens really the better, because again, that way you can ensure that the franchise can move forward and wouldn't be dependent on Dhoni being around, even if it is on one leg like he was for much of the second half of last season. Switching our focus now from the world of cricket to the world of football, and the Indian football team are going to be back in action this weekend. In fact, this international break, they have not one but two important fixtures, both of which are against Afghanistan. One's a home fixture and an away fixture, which is what starts things off. Why are these important fixtures? Because they're part of the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Now, of course, India qualifying for the World Cup, bit of a pipe dream at best, because you'd have to finish really high in the group. They need to be finishing at least second, if memory serves me right. But Afghanistan, home and away, represent arguably two of their most winnable matches in the group. And you have to remember that these qualifiers double up. Not only are they qualifiers for the FIFA World Cup, they're also qualifiers for the next edition of the AFC Asian Cup as well. And once FIFA World Cup qualification might be a little bit out of question, AFC Asian Cup qualification should be doable, considering that India have comfortably qualified in both 2019 and 2023 for the AFC Asian Cup. So it should be doable in theory. Of course, as I said, Afghanistan, those two matches, definitely very winnable encounters for India. If they get 3 points in both of those, potentially could solidify their spot on second place, where currently they are behind only a Qatar, who of course they lost to in that first game. A lot of permutations and combinations coming up, and if India can get 2 wins, then who knows? Maybe you can dream, maybe we don't. I really don't know. But again, as I said, these games of pivotal importance to the Indian football team. And continuing on with Indian football news, bad news if you're a Hyderabad FC fan, because they have now once again been handed a 2 transfer window ban from signing any players whatsoever. And this is something that has been a bit of a recurring issue with Hyderabad ever since issues have come up from a lot of their former players about unpaid wages. And in fact, a lot of those players have moved international courts, whether it be the Court of Arbitration for Sport and the likes. And there has been, of course, in this Damocles sword of sorts hanging over the heads of Hyderabad FC, that they could very well be in a transfer window ban. That's not stopped them from signing players, it's just that they were never able to register those players whilst the ban was on. But now the ban has been ratified. 2 transfer windows, Hyderabad cannot bring in new players, and I'm sure they will have to also pay off the dues of all the players that they haven't yet. It's a bit of a sad state of affairs, unfortunately one that is very common in Indian football. You thought that professionalizing the league and making it more streamlined would avoid such matters. Unfortunately, it clearly hasn't, but one can only hope that Hyderabad FC, who you remember are former champions of the ISL in 2021, can actually learn from this and maybe do better in the coming seasons. More football news, and Dani Alves, you remember the Barcelona legend and Brazil legend really, who had been found guilty of sexual assault, is now out on bail, because the judges in that case said that he can be out on bail for 2 conditions. One is if he posts a bail, which is about €1 million, and second, if he turns over his passport so that he can't actually fly out of the country and has to stay in Spain. Of course, the decision to give him bail is something that has caught a lot of people off guard, and not in a good way, because a lot of people are saying, how is it that you can be giving him bail given what it is he is accused of? Nevertheless, the decision does stand. It'll be interesting to see how it is things go forward, because again, the crime that he was found guilty of, a pretty heinous one, and one hopes that better sense prevails and that his bail isn't too short-lived, allowing him to roam freely, whilst of course the victim would of course definitely not be feeling very safe. But also in general, you not want to see someone who is convicted of a crime found guilty out on bail just because. Bit of tennis news now, and Andy Murray has been proving quite literally that there is life in the old dog yet, when he ended up beating Matteo Berrettini to advance to the second round of the Miami Open. Now, of course, the Miami Open is a Masters level event, so ATP 1000, of course, the highest of the ATP tournaments aside from Grand Slams. So Murray making it to the second round, pretty big, and the fact that he beat Berrettini, he was of course a former Wimbledon runner-up, even bigger achievement. And when he won the game, he signed off on the camera, which is something you see a lot of tennis players do. He signed off with the line, "There's life in the old dog yet." That's the basis of the quote which I started off with. It'd be interesting to see how far it is he can go from here, especially when you consider that he's previously hinted that this year seems to be his final year on the tour, and the kind of humblings that he's had to endure in Grand Slams. He still has it in the ATP tournaments. Grand Slams, though, whole different matter. And lastly, obviously this has been a tragic bit of news that we've been covering, that Aryna Sabalenka's former partner had been found dead, and now it's been found that the death could very well be due to death by suicide, which of course heartbreaking as it is. Now Sabalenka has finally spoken up, opened up on the entire matter, and she's confirmed that she's going to continue to play in the Miami Open, where she's currently taking part, but said that it's heartbreaking, and I expect a bit of privacy from the media. Hopefully it's not something where I'm hounded too much about this. And she had admitted that he was like my best friend at one point in time, and it's definitely heartbreaking to have heard and read the news. Even stranger, the fact that she'll be competing against one of her best friends really in the next round, in Paula Badosa, who of course had beaten Simona Halep in the first round of the tournament. Definitely an emotional experience it will be for the two of them, but good on her that she's actually staying on, because it requires a lot of mental fortitude to actually focus on the sport when you've been hit with a tragedy that big. And that's it from us on this edition of the Morning Wrap at Sports Today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, if you enjoy our work, please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell, leave us a comment, follow us also on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Don't forget to download the AajTak app, and if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos we've done as well, and stay tuned, we have plenty more coming your way through the day. For now, from my side,